data is great for tracking growth, monitoring growth. And I'm glad that our district does it. TSG checkpoints 3 times a year, so we do a fall, a winter, and a spring. And what I really like about it is that you're looking at growth not just academically, but you're looking at growth in all those different areas and looking at the whole child. So I think that's, to me, the value.
So give us an example of how you've used that for intervention here at Roosevelt.
Well, our kindergarten teachers look at those data points and use it in their PLC work to talk about small group work that they're doing, and so that's usually more focused on academics, but they do talk social emotional stuff as well. I think for us the biggest one of the big ways that we used the data last year was we had our kindergarten scores in the fall for social emotional were really low relative to the rest of our district, and so we were able then to be part of a pilot program where we had an additional teacher, and that person, their sole job was to focus on the social emotional aspect of students, and so the data really brought that about.
And do you think that's made a difference in those children going to first grade this year?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, we saw great growth. So we started, I think it was about February, with that additional teacher, and we saw tremendous growth where he started out working whole group, and then after a month or so we saw great growth, and so his job narrowed and narrowed. So he started out sort of as a tier 1, and then as he did the instruction and kids progressed, his job became more of a tier 2 kind of piece, and then we see the results of that in our first grade classes where they're definitely more prepared for first grade.
Okay, so if there was a district just coming on board with Teaching Strategies Gold, what advice would you give them?
Well, I'm kind of fortunate in that I've been at 2 schools now that have entered into WaKIDS and TSG, and so I've been through that with kindergarten, 2 different staffs, and both times the experience of the teachers was initially, I've got to create all these additional assessments. What am I going to do? I don't know where that happens in my classroom. I've got to do all these additional things. And then in both cases, over time, they began to understand TSG as an observational tool. And so what it does is it gives me this new lens that I use to watch the things that I'm already doing. And so my team here at Roosevelt, they're in their 2nd year, and so they're not creating things, they're just doing what they normally do, but seeing it with that TSG lens. And so I guess for a principal, what I'd say is you should expect that your teachers are going to probably want to do a bunch of additional assessments, and I would coach them and remind them of this is an observational tool, and it's important to to look for those things in what's already going on, with the caveat that you got to have kindergartens that have play in them, because without play, that's going to be really tough to see a bunch of those other pieces, the social emotional and all those things.
Great.